Today we're hanging out with Pastor Heath Corrales, our Next Generation Director, a fearless leader with a heart for raising up world changers. We're riding in a Jeep, rugged, adventurous, and built to handle tough roads. After surviving a serious accident, Heath leads with passion, proving that tough roads don't stop Jeeps or God's calling. Let's slow down and catch up. Let's do some drive time.
Yes.
Mr. Youth Director,
Yes, sir.
how in the world did you get from birth to Youth Director of the entire state of Oklahoma?
I was born in Lawton, Oklahoma, born and raised. Graduated high school in 2001. I was one of those kids, wasn't exactly raised in church. My mom did her best, tried to get me into church, but right around the teen years, she just got tired of fighting with me and kind of just gave me an ultimatum like, hey, you don't have to go every Sunday, but you will go on Christmas, Easter, Mother's Day. So I became what they call a CEO Christian, Christmas and Easter only.
But then there was this youth pastor
Yeah.
that showed up at Lawton.
Yes.
And I can't think of his name right now.
Man, you don't even know if he's around anymore. I think it's James Austin. Is that
Dr.
it?
Jamie
That's
Austin
the
now.
guy. That's the guy. Yeah. So funny story. I was dating a girl, and her best friend was dating my best friend, and she actually attended Lawton First Assembly of God. And so it was the night of the national championship in 2000 for OU. Is when I showed up at a watch party.
January.
Yeah.
It snowed that day.
It did. I showed up at a watch party at Lawton First, hung out that night, and man, just saw youth pastors, youth ministers, as the Baptist world would call them, in a different light. To be honest, I didn't know they could be young and fun. Growing up, going to church with my mom, like it was always just kind of an older gentleman that taught Sunday school, and that was my frame of reference for somebody who was a youth minister. But then I meet Jamie and just realize this looks like a fun job. Never really thought much about it. We go to our friend's house, and then later on, me and that girl end up breaking up. But I'm still connected to the church. And then there was a mom in the youth ministry that paid my way to go to camp.
Really?
Yeah. I had no desire to go to camp, and then the day before
Provide camp scholarships for your students.
Absolutely. So the day before we were supposed to leave for camp, she paid my deposit, showed up at my job, asked me, "Are you still going to camp?" And to be honest, I was a little scared of her, and so I said yes. And I showed up that next morning, really out of fear more than anything, because I was afraid she would show up at my house that morning, knocking on my door, making sure I was coming to camp. And so I go to camp that year, and after that, I think it was Tuesday night. Reggie Dabbs was the speaker.
Reggie.
Man, it was one of those moments where I felt like he was speaking directly to me. And I didn't even wait for him to count down to 1 from 3, 2, 1. The minute he did the call, I went up there.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Honestly, it's just kind of one of those things that, like I said, kind of grown up in church a little bit, not so much. I've experienced plenty of altar services, and this was the one that stuck, if that makes sense. And so I go back to Lawton after camp and had my fair share of issues and trials, but man, I wanted this to be for real. And so I just started hanging out with Jamie on a regular basis. And then about a year later, that's when I felt like the Lord was calling me into ministry.
So good, Heath.
Yeah. And so left in 2005, went to Atlanta, Georgia, to go to Master's Commission, where I spent about 2.5 years with Jeannie Mayo. In that time of 2006 is when I met my wife, Alicia.
God's grace upon your life.
Absolutely.
From Nebraska.
Okie
and a Husker.
It's probably like the only approved union in college football, and so I moved back to Lawton in 2007, came on staff at Lawton First as the middle school youth pastor. Alicia ended up moving there in 2009. We knew it was for real. Got married in 2010, and we're the youth pastors from about 2007 to 2018. And 2018 is when I I accepted the role as district youth director for our amazing state.
Which means you get to youth pastor youth pastors.
Exactly.
Which is a fun role.
It's crazy to think that was 2018, and here we are 2025, and just about 7 years later. Blows my mind.
You have two amazing boys.
I do.
We're so glad they're mostly like Alicia.
They look like their mom. Praise the
but
Lord.
you and your family do this together.
Yes.
So what would be the most challenging part of leading youth groups, youth pastors, students, thousands and thousands of students at camp this summer? What's the most challenging part?
I think probably one of the most challenging things, and you alluded to,
is your boss.
Yeah, right. No, he actually gives me a pretty long runway, and so I'm very appreciative of that. But I would probably say the most difficult thing, you alluded to my family, is balancing that family, making time for them, but at the same time making time for my youth pastors, and trying to figure out exactly what their need is. Because man, we have an array of different youth ministries here in the state, from rural to urban to mega church, and man, just really trying
all
to
equally important.
Absolutely, all equally important, and trying to figure out, man, how can I be an advocate to you guys, and what's the best way I can serve you all in the season that you're in. So trying to figure that out, and then also just like I said, trying to navigate through family, being a good husband to my wife, being a great dad to my boys, and at the same time, just loving on all of our youth pastors, who quite honestly, man, whether they like to admit it or not, man, they need love, they need support.
Absolutely. It's the best job in the world
100%.
Is youth pastor.
Absolutely.
It doesn't get any better than being youth pastor. All I ever wanted to be was a youth pastor, and then this aging thing came into effect. But youth pastors need to know, it is the most challenging job.
100%.
But it is the most rewarding and fulfilling job.
Absolutely.
It doesn't get better than youth pastor.
To this day, don't get me wrong, I love being the district youth director, but my favorite job will always be local church youth pastor.
Once you've done it, you'll always miss it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, once you've done it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It is so fulfilling. I tell youth pastors, when I'm coaching my son's baseball team, we're coaching.
Yeah.
Me and other coaches.
Yeah.
If you're an MLB coach, you're just managing tempers. And there's a lot of parallels between youth pastoring and lead pastoring.
Absolutely.
When you're youth pastoring, you are really discipling people.
Absolutely.
And when you are lead pastoring, well, yeah, you wish you were youth pastoring.
Absolutely.
Not always. God calls us to those roles, but it is the best job.
Well, in the way I compare being a district youth director, which I'm still in youth ministry, but I described it the other day, just like this. When local church youth pastor, you had mentioned it, being a coach. I'm that coach on the sidelines. I'm down in the hype. I'm down in all the fun, all the craziness going on. And then moving into this role as a district youth director, I feel like they put me up in the press box as a coordinator.
Right.
And now I see everything from a 30,000 foot view of like, here's what's going on in this area. Here's what's going on here. And I try to provide any sort of coaching that is offered, or that our youth pastors need. And I still get to be a part of the youth ministry world, but I'll be honest with you, really miss being on the sidelines.
What we're going to do is, because we're better
together,
we're going to go get a rubber duck for our Jeep.
Let's get it, man.
And where else can we find a rubber ducky that's cheap but Dollar Tree?
Absolutely.
Which is really $1.50 tree now, I think. Heath.
Yes.
I was new in this role, and I got the call that you being a runner had what we runners fear the most. Yep. A car had crossed the double line in a turn lane and just hit you.
Yep.
Broadside. I remember getting the call. We were so fearful. We had all of Oklahoma praying, and it was touch and go. We were. This is life and death stuff.
Yeah.
But tell us about that experience.
Yeah, honestly, like as crazy as it sounds, I really don't remember a lot leading up to it. Like
God's grace.
God's grace, I kind of, that's how I view it. No serious trauma that I had to deal with. That, you know, I lost sleep over. Really, the only thing I remember is just waking up in the hospital bed in the emergency room, and Alicia was right there and just kind of broke the news to me. And I just began to think, wow, how am I still here right now? And to add to that, Alicia was 7 months pregnant with our now 3-year-old Harrison. And so, like, the first thing that came out of my mouth was, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Because I felt like
Bless your heart.
I just did something stupid.
Right.
You know, like, and even though it wasn't my fault, but it just felt like I did something stupid. And so, yeah, like you said, we didn't know what the situation was. I had to go into the surgery the next morning. They were going to have to do some work on my ankle. I had a double break in my ankle. And so I now have a plate in there with 6 screws. And so there was didn't know physically what I'd be able to do. Fortunately, there was no serious head trauma. I did have a pretty severe gash in the back of my head, but nothing internal that would cause any kind of worry.
You looked pretty rough when I visited you in the hospital.
I felt pretty rough. But the worst of my injuries was the double break in the ankle, which, crazy story, after talking to the doctors, apparently a lot of people get hit by cars in Oklahoma. They
slow down.
Yeah, absolutely.
For runners, for bicyclers.
Absolutely.
Slow down, please.
So yeah, with that, they told me that considering what happened to me, I was one of the lucky ones to not necessarily walk out of there, but just have injuries that were treatable. And really and truly, the worst of it was not being able to walk for 8 weeks and then enduring a little bit of physical therapy. And then after that, I think it was 8 weeks after the accident, which happened in September, I was able to walk on a boot. And then in January of 2022, I ran my first mile again.
It's amazing.
Very slow mile, but I ran. And then that year did a half marathon. And since then, in 2024, I ran my first full marathon and planning on doing my second this year as well.
Nice.
For another marathon. But yeah.
That's an absolute miracle.
Yeah, love it.
Why do you run?
You know, it started out as a way to decompress, but then I realized how much I absolutely loved it. And it's crazy going back to the accident. You didn't know if that was going to be an option for you anymore, and so I didn't realize how much I absolutely loved something until it was potentially taken away from me. And so I tell people now, hey, why do you still run? Because I can.
Yes.
You know, and I don't mean that as a trite way, or trite answer, but just it's because I can. I've been given another opportunity, and so now I want to do this every moment that I get. You know, if I have a free moment, I feel like in a lot, physically, spiritually, it helps me in so many ways. It honestly became something that I could work into my everyday schedule. It became a prayer time. You know, I have these rules where I only listen to worship music when I run, or I listen to audio Bible or some sort of podcast from a preacher. That way I'm being fed while I run. But also at the same time, man, I've had some of my most trying moments and most spiritual moments and intimate moments with God on a run. And so for me, it's become a point of decompression. But I feel like after a good run, if I had a difficult day, man, I got to work it out on that run. And now I can be a little more in tune with my family. And at the same time, man, I want to take care of myself physically. And so it's meeting that physical need as well.
And to your point, we will all have a day when we cannot run anymore.
Absolutely.
And it's not for everybody. It's for sure therapy to me. Just this summer, I get a message from Heath. It was a stressful week at camp. God moved, but lots of challenges. He sent me his path. He'd ran 10 miles on the weekend. I said, okay, he's okay for next week. But there will come a day for all of us when we can't run.
Absolutely.
Physically. But in ministry, that's true too, isn't it? That there was a day when I'm not a youth pastor anymore, and all I ever wanted to be was a youth pastor.
Yep.
I'm not a lead pastor now. And so there will come a day when our chapter changes. That's why we need to live it to the full.
Absolutely.
So as a leader of leaders, as youth pastors and their families,
Yeah.
what would you say, what are some keys, what are some bullet points for longevity or success in youth ministry?
Well, I think one of the most obvious things is, man, you got to love God. Your relationship is the most important thing, aside from you being a youth pastor. Youth pastor is a job, but it's not just a job. It's not just a means of vocation. It's something that you're doing where you're leading young people. And so if you're not good with Him, then you're not going to be good with them. So first and foremost, you got to love God and make sure your relationship.
If you don't love God, you're going to be a terrible youth leader.
Absolutely.
Terrible.
I mean, you're essentially just a glorified event planner. That's all you really are.
Well said, Heath.
So you got to love God. I know this sounds so easy and so simple, but you got to love people. I mean, if you don't love people, then you're in the wrong profession.
You have to love unlovable people.
That's it. Some of the hardest people you're ever going to love. Sometimes it's going to feel like these people don't love you back, but you have to love them anyway.
Sometimes they don't.
They don't love you back, absolutely. And you have to outlast those people sometimes. But you got to love people.
That's really good. Love God, love people.
You got to love your community.
So good, yes.
I tell young youth pastors all the time, like, really and truly, when it comes to our personalities and how we're wired, we can go to a place and fit in anywhere. But man, you want to go to a place where you're planted.
Yes.
Man, not only are you the local church youth pastor at your church, but man, you have an opportunity to be the local church youth pastor in your community.
Yes.
And so
shepherd the high school.
That's it.
Shepherd the middle school.
The football teams, the basketball teams. Your job as a youth pastor, or your role as a youth pastor, goes so much further than the four walls of the church that you work in. Man, you have an opportunity to be a part of the community and invest in those students. Because that's the thing, when Alicia and I were youth pastors down in Lawton, there were handfuls of kids everywhere that, if I think back, probably never showed up on a Wednesday night, but that I saw them every single week when I was in school, or I was on a sideline, or I was in a locker room. And then we got to pastor those kids, even though they never showed up at the church on a Wednesday night or on a Sunday morning.
And I've seen it time and time again in my own life and watching others. Once a youth pastor,
always a youth pastor.
Always a youth pastor. Never ends in life.
And I think another thing, man, you have got to love the pastor that you work for, because he is the spiritual head of that church.
It doesn't work if you don't.
Absolutely. You're not always going to agree with everything that the pastor does, but you got to love him.
I don't always agree with myself.
But you always got to have it, because if you don't have your pastor's back, then you are just essentially in the way.
It will not work.
Absolutely.
And if it's not working, either buck up or buck out, but you have to keep your mouth closed.
Absolutely.
On either option. Yeah,
Absolutely.
So good. Love, you've said it, this is great, Heath.
Yeah.
Love God, love people, love your community, love your pastor.
Yeah.
And can I add one?
Yes.
Don't be stupid. Just don't be stupid.
I hate that youth ministry is kind of synonymous with stupidity at times.
Well, we've all been there, and it is the best job in the world.
It is.
It's the most challenging job, because you've got to speak to middle schoolers every week. Middle schoolers, high schoolers, that no matter what you do, you can be the coolest youth pastor, and you are so uncool to your students, and you've got to learn how to roll with that and speak their language. It's the most fulfilling role, and perhaps the most challenging role, to cross-generationally, cross-culturally present the gospel.
Absolutely.
Let me make sure I got your bullet points. We don't plan these, so this is beautiful.
Yes.
Keys to longevity in youth ministry, if you're already in it or considering, would be, you said love God was number one.
Yep.
Love people.
Yep.
Love your community. Love your pastor. Don't be stupid.
Absolutely.
Did I get them?
You did. If I could add one more,
please.
I would say this: don't let the ministry take priority over your family.
Yes, because it can.
But at the same time, on the flip side, don't use your family as a crutch to be lazy.
Excuse.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
be honoring to God.
Absolutely.
Be passionate about youth ministry. man, give it your all. But then with your family, give them your all.
100%.
Speaking of family, you outkicked your coverage on Mary and Alicia, and God has
100%.
blessed you with
Yes,
two
he has.
boys that Faith and I just dearly love.
They're the best.
You give yourselves to this, all of you do. You spend your life, your summers especially, doing this. And so, Heath, this has been rich. Can I just say a prarer for you?
I love that. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Thank you so much.
Lord, I thank you for my dear brother Heath. I
Yes,
thank you
Lord.
that we get to work together side by side daily and just encourage youth leaders and youth pastors. I just pray right now for Heath and Alicia. You give them fresh vision, fresh
Yes.
dreams.
Yes.
Be with Lincoln, be with Harrison. We pray for camp and all the ministries there. But right now we pray for all the youth leaders and youth
Hallelujah.
pastors together. Lord, that you would just do something special and fresh in the next generation. Help us honor you and help us be unified because we are better together. I don't think I've ever said that in a prayer, but
Well, hey, we are.
hey, thanks for watching today. Thanks, Heath.
Absolutely.
Great stuff. And we want you to have a great day.